Hello everyone, it's been a long time since my last video. I was just taking a short break from YouTube. Now, in this video, we will be solving a real SQL interview problem. This was a problem that was shared to me by one of my subscribers. They faced this problem during an real SQL interview with Capgemini. Now, as you can see, we have been given this problem statement. It has two different tables. There is a lift table and there is a lift passengers table. Now, in the lift table, you have information about two different lift, their IDs and the maximum capacity that is allowed in each of this lift, right? And then in the lift passengers table, you have information about the passengers who are trying to get into that lift, right? And you have the passenger name, their weight, and the lift ID which they are trying to get into. Now, let us read the problem statement. The relationship between the lift and the lift passengers table is such that the multiple passengers can attempt to enter the same lift, but the total weight of the passengers in the lift cannot exceed the lift capacity. Your task is to write an SQL query that produces a comma-separated list of passengers who can be accommodated in each lift without exceeding the lift capacity. The passengers in the list should be ordered by their weight in the increasing order. You can assume that the weights of the passengers are unique within each lift. I think this problem statement is self-explanatory. I'm sure every one of you would have experienced something like this. When you're trying to get into a lift and you know that there is a maximum capacity allowed, so you need to follow the maximum weight capacity that is allowed for that lift, right? And that is exactly what we're trying to find here. Now, the final output should look something like this. You should have two records, one for each lift, and you should tell the people who are allowed to enter that lift based on their weight. As I mentioned earlier, this SQL problem was asked during a Capgemini interview. Capgemini is one of the 500 plus hiring partners of OdinSchool. OdinSchool is an online platform that offers live instructor-led bootcamps. OdinSchool has also launched a new feature where they now act as a job application portal. That means anyone who has taken a bootcamp on OdinSchool will now be able to directly apply for jobs through the OdinSchool platform. And the best part is you will have instructors who can guide you to tailor your resume specific to the job that you're applying. So you give yourself a very good chance to get shortlisted. And I just want to highlight that recently OdinSchool has also reduced the prices of their bootcamp by almost 25%. OdinSchool also offers scholarships and they also have the option of EMI payment. And there are a lot of success stories where people from non-IT background or long career gaps or fresh graduates were able to crack an interview and get a job by doing the bootcamp on OdinSchool. I'm going to leave a link to these success stories so you can watch these success stories of so many different people yourself and get an understanding of how these bootcamps have helped them. And if you're someone who is looking for a data science bootcamp, then on 25th of May, there is a new cohort of the data science bootcamp that is starting on OdinSchool. It's a bootcamp where you will learn all the different skills that is required for data science, such as SQL, Python, Excel, statistics, and so much more. So I'm going to leave a link in the video description. So if you are interested, definitely check that out. Finally, thank you OdinSchool for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into solving our problem. Now, in order to solve this problem, I have created the two tables in PostgreSQL database. I'm using the pgadmin tool. As you can see, I have the lift table. It has these two records. And then I have the lift passengers table with the 8 passenger information. The very first thing that I need to do is I need to take the data from both these tables to come up with this final output, right? So the first thing is I just need to join the two tables. In order to join the two tables, I'm just going to use the inner join. I'm just going to say join. And I'll just move this from here. I'll give an alias like L and then I'll give it P and I'm going to join it using the lift ID because in the passengers table you have the lift ID and in the lift table we have the ID which is again the lift ID. So I'm just going to not use any alias here. I'll just tell ID equal to lift ID because these column names are unique in both these tables. Now if I just run it, you can see that I'm getting all the 8 passenger information along with the lift information. Right now, the very first thing that I need to do is when I'm trying to include the passengers into the lift, I need to include them based on their weight. The person with the least weight should basically get higher priority, right? So what I'll do is I'm first going to sort this data based on each lift and based on their minimum weight, right? So for that, what I'll do is I'll just tell order by the lift ID, that is I'll say ID, and then I'm just going to say weight kg in ascending order by default. And if I run it, now you can see that for the first lift, I have 4 people. So the weight is 73, 80, 85, 95. And for the second lift, I have again 4 people. The weight is 73, 77, 83, and 85. So this is fine. Okay. Now what I need to do is every time I'm processing each passenger here, I need to get their weight, right? So when the first passenger enters into the lift, let's consider only for the lift one. When Adarsh enters into the lift, the weight that is in the lift now is 73 kilos because that is the weight of Adarsh. When Dheeraj joins Adarsh in the first lift, it will be 73 plus 80. So I kind of need to do a cumulative sum here, right? And the same way, when Rahul enters, the cumulative sum would be 73 plus 80 plus 85. So it would be something around, I think, 240 something, right? Or 230. And then, so if you look carefully, 230 is still within the maximum capacity of 300 kilos for that lift, right? And when finally Riti tries to enter the lift, she is 95 kilos. So 240 plus 95 would exceed 300. So Riti should not be allowed to enter the lift, right? This is the logic that I need to implement. And the same thing I should do for the second lift, right? Now, in order to do this, I just need to do a cumulative sum. And then probably I need to kind of come up with a flag so that I can include some passengers and exclude some of them, right? So first of all, let us come up with a cumulative sum. In order to do the cumulative sum, I'm just going to use the sum window function. So sum is an aggregate function, but I can use it like a window function by using the over clause. So I'm just going to say sum of weight underscore kg, and I'll say over, and I'm just going to partition because I need to do it separately for each lift. So I'll say partition by ID, okay, and then I need to do an order by. So I'll say order by, I'll just use the same order by here, ID and the weight kg, okay. And this whole thing I'm just going to call it like, let's say, cumulative sum. If I run it, now you can see that when Adarsh enters, the total weight in the lift is 73 kilos. Then when Dheeraj enters, it's 153. When Rahul enters, it's 238. So all these three are still fine because they are within 300. That is a maximum capacity for this lift. And when Riti enters, the weight exceeds 300, right? So Riti should be the only person who is not allowed in the first lift, right? Now, in order to do this kind of a segregation, what I can do is I can come up with a flag column, okay? So what I'll do is I'll just use a case statement here. So I'm just going to say case when the capacity kg is, let's say, greater than or equal to the cumulative sum. The cumulative sum, I have just got it from here. So I'll just copy this. So when the capacity is greater than or equal to the total cumulative sum, then I'm fine with that. So I'm just going to name the flag like, let's say 1. Okay, 1. Else I'm going to, if it exceeds the capacity, then I'm just going to say 0 and I'll end the case and I'm going to call it like, let's say, flag. Now if I run it, now you can see here for the first 3 passengers in the lift 1, the flag is 1 because their total weight is still less than the capacity, maximum capacity. But when Riti enters, it exceeds the maximum capacity, so the flag is 0, right? And the same logic is applied for the lift 2, right? So now I can just put this whole query into a subquery and then I can just eliminate wherever the flag is 0 to get my final output, right? So that's what I'll do. I'll just put this into a CTE. So I'll say with CTE as, and I'll move this to the right. And here I'm just going to close the bracket. In fact, I don't even need the order by, but for now I'll just keep it as it is, okay? And here I'm just going to say select star from CTE where flag equal to 1. Okay, so if I run it, I'm only getting the passengers who are actually allowed in the lift, right? Now I am going to only fetch the fields that I need. So the field that I need is I need the lift ID and then I need the passenger list. Okay, so passenger name. But the only problem is I need this passenger name in comma separated values. So there should be one record for each lift. So in order to basically convert from row to column level values, I can just use the string aggregate function. So string aggregate, I'll put the column name and my separator is going to be a comma. Okay, and this whole thing I'm just going to call it like passengers, right? And if I run it, I'm going to get an error because string aggregate is an aggregate function and I'm using lift ID column here. So I need to use put that column within the group by. So I'm just going to say group by lift ID, and if I run it, now I'm basically getting the final output. Okay, so this is basically the solution to this problem. I hope you understood this problem. I hope you like this problem. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you soon in the next one. Bye.